Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of 2 Chronicles, the 17th chapter. And as we left off in the 16th chapter, right, we saw the end of Asa, right, and how the latter part of his reign was not consistent, at least in his heart towards the Lord. He wasn't consistent in that. And so he saw some wars, right, ended up being diseased in his feet. And, he ended up dying sometime after that. So here we have Jehoshaphat, his son, and something you notice here is when you read in the book of Kings, right, there's a bit more emphasis on the acts that were going on the side of the northern kingdom, as where in the book of Chronicles there's a bit more on the acts that were going on here in the southern kingdom. And let me look this up. Were the book of Kings and Chronicles originally together? Okay, that's interesting. So yes, the book of Kings and Chronicles were originally written as one book in the Hebrew Bible. They were later split into two books due to the length of the scroll. So that's pretty interesting. And that would make a lot more sense, right? As these being two pieces of one two sides of one book. So what we read as the book of First Kings or Kings, deals with more of like the one side of it, and then now you deal with more of like what was going on in the southern kingdom side of it in more depth and more detail. So 2 Chronicles Chapter 17 verse 1. And Jehoshaphat, his son, reigned in his stead and strengthened himself against Israel. And he placed forces in the fenced city of Judah and set garrisons in the land of Judah and in the cities of Ephraim, which Asa his father had taken. And the Lord Yahweh was with Jehoshaphat because he walked in the first ways of his father David and sought not after Baalim. So he basically lived his life, right, as King David did, by setting his heart to follow the Lord and not to go in the ways of idolatry and wickedness as did other kings, but sought the Lord Yahweh power of his father and walked in his commandments and not after the doings of Israel. Therefore the Lord established the kingdom in his hand, and all Judah brought to Jehoshaphat presents, and he had riches and honor in abundance. And his heart was lifted up in the ways of the Lord. Moreover, he took away the high places and groves out of Judah. So not only was he following the ways of the Lord, but he made sure to basically abolish, to the best of his ability, the places of wicked worship that were still in existence in Judah. Also in the third year of his reign, he sent to his princes, even to Benhail and to Obadiah and to Zechariah and to Nathaniel and to Micaiah to teach in the cities of Judah. And with them he sent Levites, even Shemaiah and Nethaniah, and Zebediah and Asahel, and Shemiramoth, and Jehonathan, and Adonijah, and Tobijah, and Tobidonijah, Levites, with them Elishama and Jehoram, priests. So he sent these Levites, and then he added two priests here, Elishama and Jehoram. And they were to go along with the princes and pretty much teach in the different cities of Judah to instill the ways of righteousness in the minds of Judah at that point, like a reform. And they taught in Judah and had the book of the law of the Lord Yahweh with them. and went about throughout all the cities of Judah and taught the people. So keep in mind that at this point, the teaching was really about making sure that they knew and understood the laws that they were to follow, which were basically ways that you had to live by. Okay, and so that in their regular day-to-day lives, that's what they would do. So at this time in our history, that was the priority. The priority was live as closely to the ways of the Heavenly Father as possible, and those ways have been outlined in the laws, statutes, and commandments that were given to Moses. So they went about making sure that the law was taught, it was explained, it was understood, and that people would follow it. And the fear of the Lord Yahweh fell upon all the kingdoms of the land that were round about Judah, so that they made no war against Jehoshaphat. And as a matter of fact, a quick precept for that, maketh Proverbs 16:7. When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. And now, that doesn't just mean in a way where they just want to be peaceful with you, maybe because they like you, but it could be that the Lord can put the fear of you upon them, or the fear of him upon them, or just some sort of fear to where they would be at peace with you out of fear of trying to be at odds with you. And that's similar to what we see here with Jehoshaphat. All right, the Lord put that fear upon those neighboring nations so that they were at peace. They didn't come to bring war against Jehoshaphat. So there are many ways of the Lord preserving, an individual or a kingdom, or just, bringing peace, and vice versa. Also, some of the Philistines brought Jehoshaphat presents and tribute silver, and the Arabians brought him flocks, 7,700 rams, and 7,700 he-goats. And Jehoshaphat waxed great exceedingly, and he built in Judah castles and cities of store. And he had much business in the cities of Judah, and the men of war, mighty men of valor, were in Jerusalem. And these are the numbers of them according to the house of their fathers. Of Judah, the captains of thousands, Adnah, the chief, and with him mighty men of valor, 300,000. And next to him was Jehohanan, the captain, and with him 280,000. And next him was Amasiah, the son of Zikri, who willingly offered himself unto the Lord. He volunteered to be, that role. When you read this in the NLT, as you can see, it says, next was Amasiah, son of Zikri, who volunteered for the Lord's service. So these were men zealous for the Lord. And with him 200,000 mighty men of valor. And of Benjamin, Eliada, a mighty man of valor, and with him armed men, with bow and shield, 200,000. And next him was Jehozabad, and with him 180,000, ready prepared for the war. These waited on the king, beside those whom the king put in the fenced cities throughout all Judah. So these were like the military, like the army for the king. You had those that were basically like the king's guard, right? And then you had those that were positioned and stationed in different parts of Judah. So one, you had garrisons, you had protection, and you had order that was instilled here by the approach that Jehoshaphat chose to set up or to rule Judah at this point. And that brings us to the end of the book of 2 Chronicles, the 17th chapter. Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.